Hello, everyone. I didn't want to show you that hand because it's dirty. I've been working on my race car. Welcome to the Kenny Wallace Show. Well, it seems like things have calmed down in NASCAR over the last couple weeks. At least I think they've calmed down. And finally, we're talking about things that we should be talking about in NASCAR. How about Kevin Harvick in his mid-40s? And he's the talk of the garage area right now. Kevin Harvick is the talk in the United States right now. So let's break it down and let's talk about this subject. The subject is this. Kevin Harvick has not won in 2 years. 2 years, 60-something races. And everybody was kind of like, is Harvick done? Even Kevin Harvick has mentioned it. Now listen, let me back up. Kevin Harvick has won the last 2 NASCAR Cup races. He won Michigan, big old 2.5-mile track, entering the corner at over 200 miles per hour. Then on Sunday, he wins at one of our best short tracks, my favorite, Richmond Fairgrounds. So he's done it on both. In his mid-40s, wins going 200 mile an hour at Michigan, and then wins going 80, 90 mile an hour at Richmond. So I believe Harvick has covered the gamut. Is that a word, gamut? So let's talk about this new phenomenon where what did Harvick do? Why is he running better? As my dad would say, Russ Wallace, Herman, I don't mean to upset you, but why? How come? What did they do? I raced in the NASCAR Cup Series for years. 905 races? And one thing that we used to say back in the day was, what'd you do? What'd you do? One of the most aggravating questions. What'd you do? How come? Why? So let's break this new phenomenon down where these athletes, Tom Brady, are you kidding me? He will become, when Tom Brady plays his first NFL game this year, he will be the oldest NFL quarterback in history. You probably don't want to hear about it, but how about our Albert Pujols? In his 40s, just hit 2 home runs. And now Harvick. And the list goes on and on. Here is my opinion on this situation, because a lot of you fans are saying right now, what'd they do? What'd they do? You know, sometimes it's not what they did. It's all about timing and circumstance. Remember that is that great quote that Bill Elliott taught me. Herman, sometimes it's just timing and circumstance. So I was listening to Harvick in one of his interviews, and that's what made me want to talk about this subject today. He says, you know, this new car, about a month and a half ago, Rodney Childers and a whole bunch at Stewart Haas, they learned how to adjust it. I was on Twitter, and I came across Kevin Harvick's interview, one of them. He gave a lot of interviews. And Harvick said, the last month and a half, we've been running really good, just had a lot of bad luck. So they have learned how to adjust the car. I think that's a big deal. When you look at these new cars, you look at some drivers that, you know, haven't got it yet. And then you look at like Eric Amarillo. That's his teammate. He's been okay, but he hasn't really been there. But let's talk about psychology, right? You look at athletes these days, but yet we go back, right? You look at handsome Harry Gant winning races at 50 years old. Look at my big brother Rusty. He retired at 50. But then came this situation where Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, get the crap out of your mouth, Herman. Let's go through it again. Drivers that retired in their mid-40s, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton. There was this phenomenon where if you get to be 40-something, are you done? Everybody, you know, Coach Joe Gibbs. I've talked to Coach Joe Gibbs before. A lot of these great athletes, they feel like when you hit 40, you're done. But here's what I think they're missing out on. Sports medicine is unlike anything I've ever seen before. I went and did fantasy camp with the St. Louis Cardinals, and oh my God, was I hurting. playing 2 games a day. I walked into the room where they fix y'all up, and they had like 6 bottles of gel there. Now, they can take sports medicine right now and take your career and prolong it. So sports medicine is much better to this day. And you're saying right now, come on, Kenny, we already know about that. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. All right. Here's the way I really feel hardcore about this NASCAR stuff. Follow along with the bouncing ball right now. Yeah, I know you're looking at that hand. I'm packing wheel bearings on my dirt car. Okay, imagine this. You're 30 years old and you're running good in the Cup Series. You're a hero. And all of a sudden you start running bad. Everybody goes, what's wrong with your car, man? You see, they don't question your age. Let me say that again. You're 30 years old. You're in the Cup Series. You're on top of your game. You're winning. And all of a sudden you go a year, and we've watched this before. You go a year, and all of a sudden you quit winning, you quit running good. Nobody questions your age. But it's the root of all evil. As soon as you hit that 40-year-old mark, right? And all of a sudden you're not winning, what do? Hey, he's getting old. He's getting old. I believe Bill Elliott is right. It's all about timing and circumstances. You have got to make sure everything is right on that race car. And everybody goes to the easiest situation first. Age. I'm thinking about myself right now. I've really never said this before. Maybe I've said I got lucky. My career was over in the Cup Series. There's a rumor out there that old Kenny Wallace got 9 lives. I read an article. It said Kenny Wallace back in the Cup Series again. But let me tell you what got me back in the Cup Series. I'm moseying on along, and I'm down in the Xfinity Series. I wouldn't say down in the Xfinity Series. It's a tough series. But all of a sudden, Steve Park gets hurt, right? And I get a phone call. Paul Andrews, the Pennzoil #1 car. Kenny, Steve Parker's hurt. Will you drive this car? I got in that car. I started dead last at the Southern 500, and I was passing everybody. And I thought, what the hell was going on? Even Dale Earnhardt Jr. after the race, he said, Herman, what was that all about? I looked at Dale Jr. I said, Junior, all I can tell you is this. I don't know what the hell I've been driving, but that car is fast. So they say, Dave Despain one time on that wind tunnel show, he said, fast drivers find fast rides. I agree with that. You can see talent, but when I got inside that Pennzoil car, it saved my career. Probably took me on another 5 years, because when I got in that car, I set quick time at Rockingham, led the whole damn race, got beat on a pit stop, and Joe Nemechek outrun me. But that propelled my career. That showed everybody that I could drive. Now, this is not about me, but I'm just telling you, I've been there, and I know these circumstances. So with Kevin Harvick, he went 2 years. Rodney Childers is a great crew chief. The engineers are good, but they were just behind. They couldn't get it figured out. Now Harvick is a hero. And here's another thing about Harvick. You ever look at him, he's chiseled. Harvick's the real deal. He's got his boy Keelan, and they're grooming him. They're molding him. Harvick's smart. He's already done enough that he doesn't have to prove himself. Think about Harvick. Champion, Brickyard winner, Daytona 500 winner. I mean, Harvick's won it all. Actually, I don't know if there's another driver like him. Respond right here. Who else is a Kevin Harvick? Maybe Dale Jarrett? It's pretty rare to win the Daytona 500, Brickyard, Coke 600. He's won it all. I don't think Harvick really has to do anything anymore to prove his ability. But like Harvick said, they interviewed him in Victor Lane. You know, when you're in Victor Lane, they got all these interviews, like 5, 6. And he said, yes, us old guys are in Victor Lane here. Because, see, I always yuck it up a little bit. I like to beat people to the punch. Herman's getting old, so I said, well, hell with it. I'll just run. I'll run with it. Man, I'm old. And everybody quit talking about me being old. Harvick just did the same thing. Us old guys, So mark one up for the old guys. And I would like to say that, there I go again. I would like to say, Herman, just say it. They used to say that to me at Fox Sports. Herman, just say it. You can never doubt your ability. And I got to tell you, I'll leave you with this. My wife said it best. This year, 2022, I am running the best I have ever run in my dirt racing career. And I'm going to be 59 years old here in a couple weeks, August 23rd. And I keep winning and winning and winning. Now, there's a lot of guys that are way better than me, but I'm skinning the cat a different way. I hooked up with a dear friend, a kid named Nick Hoffman. His dad, Daryl, built my motors right here in St. Louis. We had a little history. And all of a sudden, I got one of those cars. And in my second year, I've won 10 races this year. My God, like 35 top fives. And my wife said this, Herman, not Herman, but Kenny, honey, can you imagine if you had that car 2-3 years ago? I looked at her, I'm like, yeah, damn it. Wish I'd have had that car 2-3 years ago. But that's competition. That's the way sports is. So we've gone over it all, right? Tom Brady, he eats perfect. He don't like strawberries because he believes there's little worms in them. Albert Pujols, I think Albert was hurt. He had plantar fasciitis or whatever that word is. Albert was not doing good. He left St. Louis. He's in his right mind now. I know him and his wife Dee Dee got roughed up there, but I think Albert's focused. He's feeling good. All these old guys are doing it right now. Now, I'll say this. When you get older, Albert said it right. He said, the mind will trick you. You start running good and you say, I'm going to keep racing longer. Your body says, this is probably about it. So when you go back in NASCAR history and you compare it all, Rusty won at 50, Harry Gant won at 50, then that dumbass phenomenon come along where 40 was the new old age. So I see it coming around. I see sports medicine taking these athletes and getting them better. They're in these simulators. They're like an airplane simulator. They just showed Kimi Räikkönen, who's getting ready to run a NASCAR. He's in a simulator. I'm like, what the hell? Well, testing's illegal now. You can't go testing. They let him run one time, I believe, over there in Virginia because there's an exception to the rule for people that have never even drove these cars. So I think you compile all that together and you give Harvick a break. He's great. He's done it all. And he just had a 2-year dry spell. And I believe what he said was right. He says, we had a tough time learning how to adjust this car. And they figured it out. 200 mile an hour at Michigan and 80 mile an hour at Richmond. So Michigan, Richmond, I think they got it covered now. So I think that's about it. Let's look here. Yep. So we covered that. Yep. All right, I think that's it. So drop your comments right here. Why do you believe Harvick all of a sudden out of nowhere? I mean, he's even talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. It is the story in sports right now. 50 is now the new 45. So I believe Harvick can go another 5 years easy. And, they got this new car and they're learning how to adjust it. And go Harvick. As far as the Herminator, I'm getting tired because my dumb ass works on my cars by myself. If I had somebody help me, it could prolong my career. But my mind tells me, this is my last year traveling, and next year I'm just going to race right around home. I get tired of getting in that old truck, traveling up and down the road. They call it windshield time. Ugh. Go Harvick. Drop your comments right here. Why did Kevin Harvick, out of nowhere in the last 2 years, just start winning? All right. Kenny Wallace Show rolls on. We got a lot of content coming your way. My friend, our YouTube manager, Charlie Marlowe, is going to drop you some new stuff here. So it's good stuff. Went out to Sturgis. You already saw the Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace interview. And actually, I turned my phone on the whole Sturgis trip. Got some good stuff. Stay tuned here, and we're going to keep bringing it to you. And we're going to talk about it all. Because you always say, Herman, what do you think? And I tell you,